Hey, Dr. Keith.
Hey, Ricky, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's time for Love Your Bones.
Yes, it is. It's time for Love Your Bone.
Time
We
for
have
Love
a lot
Your
to talk
Bones.
about.
Yep, it's Sunday. It's a beautiful day here in DC. Are you home in Boston? Where are you?
I'm in Boston,
Are you?
Boston,
And
and it's a lovely day too. It's sunny, about 74 degrees, low humidity.
oh, that's nice. That's nice. It's kind of hot here. I don't even know how,
I
but
don't hear.
today we have our friend Christina, who lives not too far from me. Our Christina England. And so, Christina was on a year ago, and Christina is our maven who makes us all of our really cool swag. So she's made videos for us. She's done a recording of Dr. Zinn for us. So she's like part of our Touch family. We love her dearly. And so I remember talking to her about osteoporosis, like out of the blue. And she's like, wait a minute, I just had a DEXA scan. And now the said you failed, but she said, I have osteoporosis. And so that was a year ago. And so now we're going to hear her story. And I haven't even talked to her about what's happened in the last year. I just know that she looks beautiful and healthy and whatever. And she had a big birthday and we had a birthday party. And I think she's great, but it would be great to hear, like, what did you do?
Well, thank you. And nice to meet you, Dr. Crawford. So my story is that Ricky literally called me over a year ago, just over a year ago. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I just got this bad diagnosis, man. I had a DEXA and I got osteoporosis and osteopenia. She's like, great, you can be on Love Your Bones. I'm like, what?
She's like, this is not great. I'm like, yeah, you have no idea, you're perfect.
I'm like, I'm not ready to hear that, Ricky. Like, I'm still processing this. And basically what I found out was that a DEXA scan should be part of our regular maintenance, just like we get our pap smears and we get our breast exams. DEXA after 50 is what I'm told, we should get. My primary didn't give it to me. It was my obstetrician gynecologist when I went for my SHE visit, which I do once a year. Oops, I think we lost
you. Dr. Keith, he'll be back. So.
Yeah. And so basically, he said, just get this. You haven't gotten this. I was 59. And so I said, okay, I'll get it. And then that's when it did that. So do you want me to wait for him to get back or?
No, keep talking, talking. Much love. He'll come back.
Okay, great. So I went to see a specialist and we decided, given all the different treatment options, that there was this new treatment, Evenity, which is 2 shots a month for a year. And you can take it like in each arm or in your stomach, your thighs or whatever. I chose the arms. I went religiously every month for 12 months and promised to be back on your show.
Every other week, like
once a month, every 4 weeks.
Every 4 weeks, okay.
Yeah. And then they check your calcium throughout to make sure that, all your numbers are correct and stuff like that. And so, like I said, as I promised, I'd come back after I finished and let you know how it went. And I'm really happy to report I no longer have osteoporosis. I have minor osteopenia. The medical field determines that 3% bone growth is a great thing. I had between 8 and 11% bone regenerated growth. So I was like over the top, and my doctor's like, I'm using you in my, my whatever they do.
Wow. So go back. Say that slower, because that's major. So,
okay.
So when you have osteoporosis, I'm calling you Dr. Keith for this, you don't have any bone growth. You have bone deterioration.
Correct.
Right? So you were having that, right?
Right. And well, actually, it was from a bunch of prednisone way back in the 80s that I had that degeneration. But it wasn't helping anything. Yeah.
Wow. So an osteopenia is kind of on the way to osteoporosis, right? It's
correct.
Like pre-osteoporosis, like pre-diabetes or whatever, right?
It's exactly that.
Kind of both of those things, depending on where in your bones it was.
Correct.
Right. So your bones were not growing.
My bones were not growing.
You took Evenity for a year, right?
Yep. Here you come. Yep. And it's the only thing on the market that grows bone. everything else slows the progression. But Evenity is the one thing that actually will grow your bone back. And they say if you get 3% growth back, that's a successful run. And I was able to get 8 to 11% of my bone growth back using the Evenity. And I will just say, make sure it's room temperature, because they take it out that refrigerator and it's painful if you do not make sure it's room temperature. But it was a huge success for me, and I'm just so pleased that I was able to get it. It's not cheap. It's $7,000 a month. Insurance covered it. And, you know, I would just say for anybody with osteoporosis, osteopenia like myself, to talk to their practitioner to see if it's something that they might be able to use.
Yeah, so Dr. Keith, she's saying that she has 8 to 10% bone growth. And
Yeah.
11.
11. Okay, we'll go, let me correct that. 11% in 1 year.
in one
Yeah.
year. So basically the Evenity reversed your osteoporosis.
I don't have osteoporosis any longer. I only have a little bit of osteopenia, and the doctor suggested that I do 1 infusion of Reclast after I went through my 12 months of Evenity. And so I did that. Made me feel horrible for 3 days, like I got the flu, but she prepared me. But, you know, she said that was just the insurance policy, and maybe Dr. Crawford can speak to that. I don't know, but I believed her and I did it.
It's interesting because then denosumab, Xgeva, or Prolia, depending on what you do, is I would have thought they would have stayed in the same class. So a drug, I mean, because one, well, maybe the doc looked to determine whether or not you had hypertension, or from you didn't have a family history of high blood pressure or anything like that, or cardiovascular disease.
No.
Because you should also talk with them about Prolia. Again, the drugs that they're taking, or the injectable drugs, the one that was the second drug that they gave you can cause kidney damage or stuff like that. So I put that out there.
Okay.
And I say
Don't tell her that, right?
it's a higher.
I'm done. I'm never taking it again.
That's it.
Yeah,
Because
and just so you know, doctor, my bone degeneration came from a lot of prednisone back in the 80s when I was diagnosed with sarcoid.
Right.
And I was on, and so that's what degenerated my bones.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the risks, you know, one of the, and that's very interesting to say that, because when people ask, when they go to the doctor, and especially as they get older, they're going to ask their doctors anything that medicines that I take or my condition that has an impact on my bones. And I don't know, did they tell you anything like that?
They did tell me that, but they said, but you're so young, you'll be fine, you know, that kind of thing. But I wasn't, as we saw when I got my DEXA scan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm glad I mean, the bone is back, you know, I told my kids I'm going to make it to 100. So I need some bones to get me there.
They said, oh no. Like, she's going to be chasing us.
You know, I will too.
Not going to be in a wheelchair, baby. I'm going to be chasing you. I got to chase those babies too.
That's right. That's right.
So did you have any side effects from the Evenity or anything?
The only side effect I had was like soreness. I sound like the commercial soreness at the injection site. But truly that was it. Like sometimes it would like do a lump and be hard, and then I would put ice on it and then it would go away. But towards the end, it wasn't that sore. Like my body started to accept it. But in the beginning, I did have that. And then with that dosage of Reclast, like I said, I felt like I had the flu. I was like in the bed for a couple of days after, but she said that's what it does.
Yeah.
So I like scheduled it.
I flag and said it would be important that Reclast, so you need to go back, because the FDA did back, I mean, like the early, like 2012, talked about Reclast and its effect on people that have cardiovascular disease or high blood pressure, or people are on diuretic to control their blood pressure.
Okay.
So those are the things. I'm not saying what to do. I'm just saying we're here to give you the best information that you possibly can. So
Thank you.
So use the best drug for you.
Yeah.
Not,
Right. She says I don't need anything anymore. Just come back in a year.
Okay.
So,
what did she?
What is reclass, Dr. Key?
It's falls in the class of zoledronic acid. And there are drugs well, there again, these zoledronic acid basically kills cells.
Okay.
And so it kills the cells that play a role in breaking down your bone.
Okay. 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 All right, cool. So that's great. So that's sort of her insurance factor or whatever, right? So
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's, as long as you know that these drugs have different means of or they call it mechanism of action. So that's the zoledronic acid kind, and then the Prolia kind is basically interferes with the cells themselves from chewing up and breaking up bone. So there's a difference between the two. So as long as you know that and you have that discussion, then you can also pull up information in front of with your doctor and say, well, I don't like this. I may be hypertensive, or I may take diuretics to control my blood pressure. And if I do, I should be looking at something else.
absolutely. Yeah.
all right.
I had a quick question, Ricky.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is right now, you're back.
She's back.
She's back. And so now to stay back,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Well, every morning I drink my calcium infused oat milk and with my chai latte.
Okay.
And I take a lot of calcium pills, do my dairy, my greens and things like that. But again, I think that mine was basically from a drug versus naturally losing bone. I think that, it was a bad side effect of heavy prednisone over the course of a year. I think it was even like 2 years, might've been 3. It was awful. Had like the moon face and everything.
But I know you're young. I know you're young. So 34, 35. So, but when you get to 40 and over, then as your hormone concentration changes, then okay, there's prednisone that had an effect. But then as you reach the 40s and the 50s and go in that direction, then your estrogen levels start to decrease. And if your estrogen levels start to decrease, that also weakens your bones also.
So that could have a factor.
So it could be your prednisone, but it could be just,
Aging. It could just be the process. Yeah, because my mom, like when she got her DEXA, like she's like, I got the bones of a 27-year-old.
Well, and you don't know if your mom had it. You don't know.
No, I know she didn't. I know her bones were super, super strong.
Yeah. So that's it. See what's so nice about this discussion is because you hit upon key points. Family history is a very important point. So again, your mom didn't have a family history. Okay. And she has no history. Has she broken a bone?
Nope.
And have you broken any bones?
My wrist and my toe.
Okay. And then when was that? When you were like?
Wrist was, I don't know, maybe 50 years ago. Toe,
15?
50.
50.
50.
Oh,
50.
So you broke your 50 years ago. How old are you? I'm trying to get it straight.
Not 34, but I really did like that. That felt good.
I said, okay, so, well, anyway, so
and my toe was about maybe 10 years ago.
About 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because those are weight bearing areas, but your wrist, did you fall on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, anyway, that the most important thing is that from the standpoint of you have fractures, and then you have to be careful. But your bones have gone back to a very strong, healthy state. So now you're doing your best to really keep it there. So you said your diet.
Yep. I eat pretty clean. I don't do a lot of processed anything. And I try to make sure that I'm doing a lot of calcium enriched things like collards and cheeses, hard cheeses, things like that. The infused oat milks and things like that.
Did they tell you are you taking your vitamin D?
Yes, D3 2000 IU every day.
Every day. Ooh. And you're
Doing
getting
all the
sun
right
too.
Can I what?
You're getting sun too?
Yeah, when I can.
All right. All
I know
right.
you can do some stuff. So Christina, though, go back to when you first had the DEXA scan, like,
Okay.
did you get it because of the prednisone, or did you get it because your doctor said to get it? Like, what prompted you to even get tested?
Right. So Dr. Renzi, he was the one who said, have you had this during just my regular annual, female exam? And I said, no, what is it? And so he told me, and then he scheduled it for me. And then I went and I got it. And the place that I got it was just horrible. They're like, get on the table, get off the table. Okay, you're done. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? And so when I went, he got the results and then he sent me to the specialist. And so then when I went to her and I told her what happened, she says, we're going to redo all your numbers again. She's like, because I hate that place. And I'm like, yeah, me too. And so she redid all the numbers again, excuse me. And then it basically showed the same thing.
Mhm.
So, yeah, but hers was like so much longer and different, angles and things like that. And she told me what was happening, when it was happening, not get on the table, get off the table.
Right.
So, yeah.
And did you notice any changes in height or anything like this?
I think I'm about the same height.
Mhm. And what
Yeah.
about your mom? Has your mom short?
My mom's passed 5 years this November, but she did get shorter.
She did get
But
short.
I think she got shorter, but she didn't have bone loss. I think it was just kind of, posture thing.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm getting shorter, and my mom definitely got shorter, but Dr. Keith, we have a question in the comments here from Malvina. She said, I was on prednisone for like 2 years straight, but because she was diagnosed with lupus, but she's been in remission for years, but she still takes plaque. I only take prednisone if she gets sick, something like that, but she said, I hear you saying something about high blood pressure, heart trouble, need to take a different type of dose of medication. I'm on a lot of medication. Should I get a scan? And I may have kidney problems. Is that what you're saying? We don't want to scare you, girlfriend, but we think that you probably should get a scan. Hello,
Definitely.
you are, right?
How old is she?
Getting shorter and her feet are shrinking.
Well, I mean, what we need to do is we just start back and maybe and just walk her through just some areas, just like say from my notes. So how old is she? And that's one. And the one of the other things too is, has she
55. She's 55.
I'm
And-
for DEXA.
yeah. And so she's never had a DEXA before.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay. Now she has a history of these medical conditions, and the one that stood out was lupus. Was that
lupus. Yeah.
okay? And then a question I answered, so she's reached a state where her estrogen levels are dropping, right? Okay. And then a question I have is, does she have diabetes?
Let's see if she's talking to me in our comments. I love this so much, Melvin. I wish we could bring you on the show, but yes, you do have diabetes.
Okay. And so when we start looking at the chronic diseases and diabetes, she needs to meet with her doctor, her primary care, and there's some questions that you need to ask her. What drugs are you, what's your condition? So you talk with your doc and say, this is my medical condition. What drugs am I taking? So does the medical condition cause bone loss or weakening of the bones? And does the medication that I'm taking cause weakening of the bones? Okay. And then one, family history is going to be important. So did you have a family history of having a fracture? Have you had a fracture after 50? But we do suggest going back and speaking with your doctor and developing your bone health plan.
Yeah, so you should just go and really talk to your doctor. You definitely should ask for a DEXA scan and then talk about what could be causing it. And look at Christina. Oh my gosh, she's cured in a year. I mean,
It was a commitment. Yeah.
You did all the things. You did all the things. You ate the right foods. You took the vitamins and supplements, and you got the shot.
Mhm.
And I walked and I did some swing dance lessons and just stayed active.
Oh, you were swing dancing.
DC hand dance, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to go to DC then. I haven't done that in a long time.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, because I go back to the Lindy Hop.
Yeah, well, that's where it originated from, yeah.
It is. So, yeah, my dad taught me the Lindy Hop when I was about 12. I don't know. He was a Lindy Hopper. And then my grandmother, so we can talk. We have to like make this.
Okay, well, I have to get down. That's a good exercise.
It's great, yeah. I love it.
I know, well, the Lindy Hop became the hustle, became whatever the DC thing is, but
Yep.
you and I have done it together before.
Yeah, we have.
You know, for just being from Texas, we also do the two-step. So I got that
The bop.
and the Cuban salsa.
I
So
don't know that one.
that's a
You
two-step,
dance.
but it's almost like the about the Lindy Hop, but it's much more circular in how you dance. So there's a lot of stuff. So maybe that's why historically the incidence of osteoporosis was lower in Black folks, because we're doing a lot of dancing or a lot of physical activity,
And our diet, yeah.
and our diets were much different. Now that we're more assimilated into the general population, now you'll start to see more and more problems arise.
Agreed.
Yeah, well, you know, and the dance thing I think is so important because it's such an easy thing to do. You don't need to go to a gym. You don't need to, you can do it by yourself, or you can do it with the other people in your house. I dance with my grandkids all the time and
Yeah.
all the time. But you know, I think that, you know, we used to have, you know, our dance, Love Your Bones dance party every Friday.
Yeah.
They bring it back because people keep
I
asking.
think so too. And so even if we were people, could you just take 7 minutes?
Yeah, that's what we did. We did 3 songs, 15
No.
minutes, 3 to 3:15. That's what we were doing, 3 songs.
So
And-
close your office doors.
Yeah, just and I would make up do like a playlist request. We may come back to that because was just also we were like in the crazy of madness, right? We'd be working whatever, it's Friday afternoon, and we'd like, oh, stop at 3 o'clock, Love Your Bones, dance. And so we may do that, but I mean, everybody can do that. You don't have to wait for us to do it. Pick a day and a time of the week or a time of the day when you're just gonna, you know, like, you know, you're singing in your car. So get the music before you get in the car and move your body.
There you go.
Easiest thing you can do. You know, I say I've told everybody to take a walk, but dancing is even easier than taking a walk because you can just, doesn't matter if it's raining. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's easier than rowing.
Right. Right. So, but this is such a great story. I love that we can share a story of success, you know, and that we have solutions like Evenity to give us that success. And also, you know, I think not only did you help your bones, but you helped your mental health, right? Don't you feel better?
I do. Just knowing, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I didn't have that appointment, you know? And a lot of people, they'll just see a primary, but I always see my primary and my female doctor because they both do very different things and they both look for very different things. And had I only been going to my primary, he'd never brought up a DEXA.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, so is my Abigail.
Yeah, your lady doc. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Gynecologist.
The gynecologist.
Yeah.
I was trying to be politically correct.
Yeah.
It's safe. But anyway, but yes. So that's important too, because it's who are you getting this information from? And really, if you think about it, your primary care doc. I'm glad your GYN doc was a safety net, because your primary care doc should have kind of picked it up. But maybe, you know, since you're like 38 or 34, maybe they just didn't appreciate. But they should have family history. They should have been checking with your history of a prednisone use for 2 years. They should have that should have been alerted to that.
You'd think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I mean, my DEXA scan was from chemo. I mean, it was part of my cancer routine. And I think, you know, but we find even a lot of cancer patients who aren't asked about DEXA scans. So it's almost like, how do you remind everybody to ask their doctor for it? But again, you know, like you were blessed that your doctor brought it up to you.
Exactly. And if I only saw my primary and never saw this guy, you know, or continued to see
Happened.
him, I never would have. And I still would have been walking around not realizing that my bones were getting weak.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why, we love to talk about this stuff too, because so many of us, we have to bring it up to the doctor.
Right.
We have to be the ones to bring it up and demand the care that we deserve, because we're
But-
not thinking about it,
See,
so,
but that's what's so important is just not saying anything negative about the clinicians, is that the clinicians are hit with a lot of information. And this is interesting. They have a good command of the general information that affects people generally. But when it comes to people with African ancestry, people of color, they don't really have a lot of stratified or detailed information. And so that's very important for us, since they are our consultants. Then we need to go in with the right questions. Your checkup involves X, Y, and Z. These are my problems. Anything that I'm taking, any medicines can impact anything else. Bones.
yeah. And we love the fact that it worked on a Black person, hello, because we know, but I mean, we talked to Amgen, the company that makes Evenity, a lot about clinical trials, and they're on a mission, like as we are, to get more diversity in their clinical trials. And so I think, for Black people, we are a clinical trial,
Right.
because
Absolutely.
whatever we take, we don't know whether it's going to work for us or not. We hope it is, and but we never know. So when we hear that it works, to me, you're now a data point for a that I know it worked on you. Now you're one patient, one Black person, but still, we need to be collecting this data.
Well, it's very interesting is that because people of African ancestry, Black folks in the United States, are not part of the clinical trials the way they should be.
Mhm.
We have to wait until the FDA approves it,
Right.
and then years have to go by
Right.
to figure out, oh yeah, by the way, that's a good drug for Black people.
Right. What a concept, right?
Instead of us being able to participate in the clinical trials earlier on. And then what a lot of people, and see, this is interesting. What they say is, well, because of the medical atrocities in the past, Black people don't want to participate in clinical trials. So because they say that, their docs are not likely going to ask if you'd like to participate in a clinical trial.
Right.
But then when you ask somebody if they're going to participate in a clinical trial and they have a medical condition, they're more apt to participate in a clinical trial, because they want to live better, live longer, and have a better quality of life.
Right. Right. So Christina had the kind of booster thing. What should she do next besides eat healthy, take her supplements, Dr. Keefe? Like, could this come back again? Is that something that recurs in your life?
Well, I mean, as estrogen levels drop and as you get older, the chances of it happening. So you have to keep on a regular basis, especially since you have the past history of it.
Mhm.
You've corrected it, but every year you're going to have to follow up. I don't know how often has your doctor suggested that you get a bone scan?
She said, see you in a year.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're going to get a bone scan every year?
Yes. I'm
Okay.
already set up for next year. I already
Okay.
have the appointment.
So that to me is the purpose,
Yeah.
the perfect,
right.
perfect.
Up on their scans.
Yeah. So you have your scans, you're eating you've modified your diet. So let's go
Well, no,
back.
my diet was pretty good to begin with.
I said, oh, so you just threw in the calcium infused oat milk.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Well then,
because I knew you'd want to hear about the calcium.
okay. Well, okay. So she was already there. So you did what you were supposed to do.
Right.
So this is a very different story, because you're talking about a person who was aware of the need for vitamin D, calcium supplementation, and still, because of the past medical problems,
Had osteoporosis, right?
osteoporosis.
You were doing
Yeah.
all the right things, And had it ever even crossed your mind?
Now,
Yeah,
he put me on that D3 like years ago. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So what's interesting is that you're a good person for the audience to hear from, because there are women out there who are, well, I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing yoga. I'm eating right. I'm not smoking. I'm not drinking. And, I run 5 miles a day, all this stuff.
Hmm.
But then because they've reached a point where their estrogen levels are dropped, or they have a family history of fracture, or they're lactose intolerant, because a lot of people, a lot of Black folks don't recognize that
Right.
percent of the Black population is lactose intolerant.
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Which is why I drink oat milk. I can't drink whole milk. That's just like,
You're not
Not
drinking
good.
calcium.
yeah.
Can your girls drink cow's milk, or they drink oat milk too?
We all drink oat milk and almond milk. Yeah, I think they can. I'm not sure if they are.
It's probably about when they drink what you buy.
They drink what I buy, yeah. And I've always had either, lactate, or now we go more with the nut milks and the oat milks and things like that. So,
And there's some
Yeah.
there's some A2 milk out there too that has less that's a better milk. So there's, depending on what the cows, so there's a A1 cow and an A2 cow. This is true. It's a true thing. And then
one goes moo, one goes moo moo.
moo moo. That's right. One goes moo, and the other one goes moo moo. The moo moo one, right?
Yes.
That one has less lectins or gluten, less lectins in it, so it
Okay.
doesn't cause a lot of GI distress.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's something to look at too as an option. But you
I
still
don't like milk though. When I was a kid, I used to drink a full glass every dinner. It was just like,
but
I
see,
never did that to my kids.
because
Oh,
you're probably lactose intolerant. That's
Yeah.
why. Because all that stuff about you didn't like, if your body really didn't like it,
And I always had stomach aches.
and
Yep.
you always had stomach aches, so then
Right.
that lets you know that you were lactose intolerant. Now have you tried goat milk?
I don't like anything. Goat cheese, goat milk.
Oh, okay, we better stick with that
We're
oat milk.
gonna stick with the oat milk then.
Oat milk and almond milk, because I'm almond milk.
Yeah, I do almond milk too. But
Yeah.
I can eat ice cream, and I can eat yogurt, and I can eat cheese. I do like to eat a lot of cheeses. Especially when I cook, I like the Asiagos, the blue cheeses, the fetas, things like that.
So you still get to make a 3-cheese macaroni, a mac and cheese.
I do. I
Okay, I just want to.
I know, I make my special 3-cheese grilled cheese sandwich.
Oh, yum, yum.
See that? I said no. I personally, I cut out the cheese.
I know my daughter
I
wants me
think
to.
You cut out everything.
I eat some collard greens. I eat collard greens. I have my almond milk. I'm a black bean. I'm gonna figure out how to make a black bean burger.
There
So-
you go. Oh, just go on TikTok. It's all there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and I know let me ask you a question. How old were you?
How old do I look?
I don't want to go down there because I'm like, gosh, you don't
I
look.
said earlier, you missed it, was probably when you blacked out.
I said like, oh yeah, because I'm sorry. Yeah,
Well, how old are you? Let's start with that.
Yeah, you go first, Dr. Keith, men first.
I'm 63.
I'm 3 years younger than you.
I was like, okay. So,
You know,
okay.
So
I got tears in my eyes.
Christina, so
Okay.
every time we do this show, I bring on my beautiful Black women friends. Every time, everyone. And
63. I said like 34.
and we blow him away. Okay, we blow him away
Oh.
every month. He's like, so like every month it's like, I got you some more beautiful Black women. Hello.
It's in the DNA, I guess.
and with healthy bones.
And with healthy bones and teeth.
Because I was trying to figure out. So we're talking about 20 years is when they should have been talking to you about your bone health.
Yeah.
Not a year ago.
Not a
Exactly.
year ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And so you still get carded. So I'm sorry if I had to throw that out there.
No, she goes out with her 2 beautiful daughters and
Mm.
everyone's They're sisters. That's what
Okay.
happened.
Oh,
Okay.
there you go. There
'Cause
you
when
go.
when you were saying, because I said like, oh, she must have some babies at home that she's getting that oat milk to you. So you got grown women.
I got grown women.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but the reason why I was bringing that up is that, and that's another thing too, that maybe doctors, what the chart says and what they see. And then it's, well, you know,
Yeah,
I don't need to worry about her bones because she looks healthy.
could be, could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is why this show is very important, is because, like I said before, docs are your consultants. So now you need to know what your manual is, your health manual is.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's across the board.
Right, right.
And no other health problems at all.
No, the sarcoid, I haven't had that since the 80s. And oh, I've had sciatica. But that's about it. Yeah. Had a couple bouts of sciatica. That was no fun. From I think from like straining and bending and lifting and doing different things I probably shouldn't have been doing.
What would you tell? Your story is so important.
So good. Such a great story. Such a great.
Thank you.
So what would you tell everyone? What would you want Black women, all women, to really know?
Take away.
Don't wait till you're 59 to have your gynecologist tell you to get a DEXA. Get one now. You know, at least so you can have a baseline. Like I didn't even have a baseline.
You have a baseline.
Yeah, I had nothing. I just went in, and the next thing I know, I'm in a specialist office. And next thing I know, I'm getting injected twice a month. I mean, once a month, 2 times, one in each arm.
One in each arm.
Every month for 12 months. Yeah. It's a commitment. It's definitely a commitment, but I just put myself in the zone and I'm like, I'm going to get through it. And my doctor said 3% is success. 8 to 11% is like over the top. She's like, I'm using your stuff in my speech or whatever it is that you guys do. Cause she just thought I had such a great result and outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, cause it is.
It's triple. Yes. I did triple the bone growth that I should have. Yeah.
I think she might have to be doing a commercial for our sponsor.
I know.
I keep wanting Amgen to hire me to do a swing dance commercial. I could do this.
I know.
Oh, you know why? You know why that was, here's the deal. That's perfect. Because this is what I was doing before, and this is what I'm doing now. So like, wow. So that would fit.
Yeah. And they have a horrible couple that does it on their commercial now. It's like, oh God, please no.
I know that is a commercial. I know which one you're talking
It's a
about.
white couple, yeah. And she can't dance. I'm
They
sorry.
can't dance. They can't.
I mean, I just said you throwing some Lindy Hop. You said you throwing the two-step bad.
I know. Well, you know what we could do? We could make a little video and send it to them.
There you go.
Work on that, me and you. All right.
Yeah.
Me and you and
We just get, I just have the vision of Ricky just on that paddleboard, just rowing into the sunset with her little dog on the paddleboard.
Oh, Harper.
Don't mess up my image. Like, dude, I got swing dancers. This is like, hold on, I'm trying to catch up.
No, I do. That's why I think that's what we're going.
So what would you want our listeners? So one more time, I know you said it before, just from the top. If you were all the things all the things that you were doing.
Right. I was doing the D3. I was eating well. I had no clue about this whole bone health thing. I just remembered a vague conversation with my mother years ago when she said, I have the bones of a 27-year-old, went in one ear, went out the other, didn't realize she had a DEXA, just thought, oh, she did some bone test and, she was fine, but not even realizing that should be a part of our regular health checkup. And so I would tell women, take that D3. I do the 2000 IU every day. Get your calcium.
Vitamin D.
Exercise.
So what kind of exercises are you doing?
Well, I do about 6 hours a week of DC hand dancing. And then sometimes if my daughter can talk me into it, I'll do some yoga or Pilates with her. But and then I'll walk sometimes. So mostly it's the dancing. Yeah, because that's a lot.
Okay. So then the question I had.
Yeah, I'm an assistant instructor.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so when I come down, I'll give my lesson.
There you go.
We'll go dance with Christina. We'll go
Yes,
dance.
that's right.
That's right. That's right.
So we have the exercise. We got resistance exercise. We have the excellent diet. Spiritually, was there anything that you did there to kind of maintain positive spirits during this period of time that you had success?
I don't think anything different than I've always done. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, I am a believer and, I believe in the law of attraction. I believe, karma finds her address for good or for bad. So, I mean, I've always had a pretty positive outlook on life. Ricky's known me since I was 10. So I think she can
Oh.
vouch for that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You were 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Then so we talked about that. We talked about if there was a spiritual component. You were always a spiritual person. Did you smoke?
Absolutely.
Did you ever smoke?
I smoked as a teenager. I did.
Okay, so you weren't smoking.
Nope.
And maybe casually drink wine once a day, once a week, or how would you?
Probably on the weekends, a few glasses. Yeah.
Mhm. So again, I bring this up because alcohol consumption
Uh-huh.
plays a role.
And bone health, right?
bone-
Oh, okay. Yeah. Not
So,
huge
and
alcohol
same-
consumption, but
yeah, I mean,
some good wine or fine tequila, on the weekends. That's
well,
fine.
they suggest no more than a glass and a half of wine, a glass and a half of alcohol
Every day.
every day. I mean,
Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah.
that's for people who drink every day. But if you were on the weekend, your consumption is still within inside what you would get for over a week.
Definitely.
So you had
Definitely. Yeah.
that, and no smoking, no drinking. One thing that we flagged is you had an autoimmune disease, and you had a treatment with a therapy. So remember, folks, and the people in the audience, what was the condition? The condition was lupus or Sjögren's?
Sarcoid.
Sarcoid. So
Sarcoidosis.
so you had
Mhm.
sarcoidosis. That was the medical condition, and the
Mhm.
drug of choice was a steroid.
Exactly.
And that's that kind of information when you go to your doctor, that what's my condition, what are my therapies, and does my condition or my medicine that I'm using to treat my condition have an impact on my bones or any other organs in my body?
Yep, I think we covered all the things. I mean, I think, Christine, you're like a poster child for what we talk about on the show.
Thank
And I think that, you can get success with this disease. It's not something you have to live with, and it's something that you can take care of and be healthier, so why wouldn't you? So it starts with knowing about it and then asking for a scan, Thank you, because there's so many people we talk to that aren't eating healthy, that aren't doing all the right things. And they get the scan, have funky numbers but have a lot more work to do than you had to do. Like, you were able to go get this medication and keep up your lifestyle as you had already, and your healthy lifestyle, and live. So
Thanks. And I understand it's hard to get Evenity. Like, the woman was going through all my choices and she was like drawing all these little things. And she's like, but I'm not sure you can get it. It's really hard to get. And I said, no, I'm going to get it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean that, I think that, and even that story. So really, Ricky, that's important, because what'll happen is that they'll give you, like they gave you before, that reclass,
Yeah.
class, and we already know that the FDA wrote about that with people with hypertension, high blood pressure, and shouldn't take it. The FDA said it.
Right.
So
Right.
that was what, 10 years, a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
So now people forgot about it, but it's still a drug in use.
And I only had that at the end of the Evenity. She was like, it's just going to seal the deal. You'll never have to take it again. You'll be good. I just want to see you take this one dose.
Okay.
So, I
Great.
mean, I really wanted to say, no, I'm good, but then I'm like, well, what, huh?
Yeah.
That's like, we hear that so much with the chemo and stuff. I'm good. Do I really need the extra stuff? Yeah. And you know what? I always say it's better to just do it.
Yeah, it's over. It's not, if it was
Yeah.
chronic use, that you had to go back chronically and use it, then maybe that's something you should talk to
Yeah.
your,
You wanna
when
get-
talk to your doctor about an alternative
Yeah.
bone protector.
Yeah, my understanding is nothing else. I'm good for the rest of my life. Just get that scan once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And so there was a point about your story. Could you tell us a little bit more? You just said that you were trying to get the drug, and were there roadblocks or hurdles before you were able to get it?
I think it was like a physician's assistant, she was going through all the different types of drugs you could take. Like there was one where all these pills every day, and there was another it was a weekly thing, and there was all these different types of, an injection so many times. And then there was Evenity, this new thing. And they had the model in there that like showed a bone like this and then a bone like this. And I'm like, that's what I want. And
Mhm.
she goes, yeah, it's really hard to get that. I don't know if you're going to be able to get that. So that speaks to that whole.
Why? Why are they saying that?
Why?
I don't know, but I mean, that speaks to, my belief was so strong that I said, oh, I'm getting that. My insurance is going to cover that. And so it did cover that. But
Right.
I guess some insurance companies won't cover it because it's $7,000 and a month. And so, my
Well-
insurance paid $3,500. I guess they got 50% off, and I paid $30 copay.
Right.
But I'm like, I'm taking that because I don't. Everything else slowed things. This one built things. I wanted the one that built things.
Yeah. I mean,
But she really was like, don't get your hopes up. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm going to have that. And you're going to see.
you're in the DC area, right?
I
In
am.
Maryland, DC. So Maryland's insurances policies are very, very good for the citizens there.
Yeah.
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 I mean, because
I thought it was odd that she was like, don't get your, she was not black or brown. And she was just like, I don't know.
you see,
And so I'm like,
you see what happens when a person takes on the negative.
yep.
Then if you weren't who you are and you weren't more certain about your care,
An advocate
you would
for
have
your.
said like, is it very difficult to get? And that's the same thing with these cutting edge technologies that
Right.
are out there.
Yeah. She was trying to get me to pick another one. I'm like, I'm not picking anything. I'm getting this.
And then and it's interesting.
That's interesting that she tried to get you to pick another.
And this was not step therapy. But you had to fail on something before you can. This is like it's your choice.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of funky, right?
So
Yeah.
maybe, I mean, we're gonna have to mention this more
Yeah.
about, this is your bones, It's
Right.
important to have healthy bones, and these are your options that exist.
Right,
Right.
Right.
Because people don't know all the options.
right.
No.
And how would you know what Evenity is unless you heard the story?
Right.
How would-
Exactly.
And matter of fact, at least you had a booklet that
Right.
somebody showed you something where you could visually see that there was a difference.
Right.
Versus some people say, well, we have this, and this, and Evenity is no different than anything else out there. It's a name.
Yeah,
It may be easier to pronounce than XYZ drug or whatever.
Right. Right.
And so the point is, and this was interesting because we're moving into right now, it's shared decision making. That means you talk with your doctor,
Mhm.
review your options, and
Right.
look at what's best for you,
right,
not what's best for them.
Mhm.
What's best for you, and then you gave them, this is what I want. Now you have to work towards getting me this therapy.
yeah.
Right. Right. And this wasn't my doctor, it was my doctor's assistant,
Mhm.
Really.
but I was just like kind of taken aback that she was just like, no. So, but it all worked out, basically.
Because it's interesting because it's like, how do you know?
Right. Right.
I mean, it's not like she know what your insurance is.
Exactly.
Right.
The billing
Exactly.
office, the billing office knows what your insurance is. Now they'll call you up, well, your insurance doesn't cover this, but the average PA is not going to be understanding that. What do they think? You had Medicare?
She must have. I don't know. And that was kind of the. Yeah.
Also,
yeah.
you wonder though, when we have these any kind of condition, and there are some options, except for triple negative breast cancer, for you to make a choice over what drug to take. We don't know as patients what the best drug is, and we sort of expect the doctor to tell you that, and then they say, oh, we're going to recommend you the best drug Avinity, but then you may not be able to get it. Like, what's that? What's that?
Yeah, 'cause
Exactly.
that's like a, I
Yeah.
mean, it's like a.
I got something, but you might not have it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a positive, then they slapped you in the back of the head with it. It's like, but you may not.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that was very important.
Yeah. That goes back to be the CEO of your own health.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Care. And you know, it's always, to me, it's the golden rule. I say it every week, every day, every month on the show. You know, make the doctor treat you as they want to be treated. Is this how you would treat your mama, your auntie, your grandma, your husband, your person? If that's not how you want it, you're going to treat your person, then that's how you should be treating me. And that's what the care that we have to ask for every day.
Demand, absolutely.
No.
And if you're not getting it, switch doctors.
Which doctor, by the doctor, you don't need the doctor. And if you're feeling, and if you also feel like you're not being informed to the extent that you feel like you're missing a piece, it's time to change doctors and get someone who's really going to tell you the whole story and give you what you need to know to make yourself better. So you had that, you know.
Yeah.
And you spoke with your doctor, not your doctor, but your daughters about this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so you kind of pass on the message.
Yeah, when I said I'm going for my bone shots, they both freak out. They just had like visions of this needle going into a bone, you know? I'm like, no, it's not like that. It's a regular injection. Yeah.
Did you, and you spoke with them about just this, what we were talking about being your CEO of their health.
Oh, they've seen me in action with their grandmother and 24/7 in the hospital by her bed. And like, it got to the point where I was changing the oxygen zones and everything else. And people thought I was a doctor because, you know, you have to be there and you have to advocate for a person.
Well, see, so something else to say about you. You're not a healthcare professional.
I'm not.
Yeah.
And so this is important, and this is important for the audience to recognize that you're not a healthcare professional, but you still were able to take control of your health and your mother's health and your children's health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like my mother's having trouble breathing. They bring her, the ambulance brings her into the emergency room, puts her in the thing, and then leaves, and she has no oxygen on. I'm like, hello, they just took the oxygen. You need to put the oxygen on her that she's here now. And the guy's like, just a minute. I was like, no, not just a minute. You need it now. And so, you know, he wouldn't do it. I went out, I found somebody to do it, and they came back in. No, actually, I think I did it at that point. And when they came back in, they're like, oh, it's already on. I said, yeah, because I put it on her, you know? So you have to just, you know, I mean, there are just horror stories about, you know, your person. If you're not there with them, you know, as much as you can be in a hospital situation. I mean, and I would start talking to doctors. I would keep in my phone every drug she was on, every change of every drug she was on. And then they would come and, you know, go through and she's like, go talk to them, you know, talk to my daughter. She knows.
Right.
Because you have to have that. When you're sick, you can't know everything that's going on. You have to have that person with you.
Well, I was with my mom the other day, and you know, my mom's 90. We've had, you know, 5 visits to the emergency room in the last 6 weeks. But she had gotten an MRI last Wednesday, and the doctor called with the results at 3 o'clock on Friday and said she needs to have a bone biopsy. She has, and Keith, you're gonna have to say this for me. She has osteomyelitis.
Myelitis.
Yeah.
She had a bone infection.
Yes, it's a bone infection. So, but I said, we're not going to go to the ER on Friday at 3 o'clock. No one in any hospital is going to be doing a bone, whatever, biopsy on a Friday night. Doing that. And so we took her there, and they guaranteed we're going to check her in. She's not going to have, and she goes to Walter Reed, great care. Don't worry, we're going to check her in. We're going to get her admitted. We're going to have it done tonight. You know, we were there for 3 hours. I'm like, you know what? We're going home. Get us discharged. This is not going to happen until Monday.
This is what I'm talking about.
On weekend.
So did they start on any antibiotics or anything?
No, they didn't. And they said, so she's been on about 5 different antibiotics in the last month for this infection. And we didn't know until now that it was a bone infection with all kinds of other infections. And so they didn't want to start her on an antibiotic until they did this biopsy. And so she was gonna go sit in the hospital all weekend, waiting for someone to do a test. It wasn't gonna happen until I took her home.
Yeah.
But if I hadn't been there to advocate for her and say, I know her better than you know her. I know where we've been in the past 5 weeks with this thing. And we're going home. You know, unless you can tell me right now, you're gonna do this test in the next hour, we're going home.
We're out of here.
Take
Yeah.
her tomorrow, we'll check her in and she'll do what she has to do. But I mean, it's stuff like just knowing, you know, being the patient advocate. You need an advocate for yourself. You need to be an advocate for yourself, and you need someone else to support you. So
I have moved people out of hospitals into other hospitals when I saw they were getting inferior care,
right.
you know, and you just have to do what it takes to help your person.
You do.
Yeah,
You do.
Also, so you truly are the chief medical officer of your
I
family.
really am. And I start talking the talk with them and they're like, oh, are you a doctor? Are you medical? Like, nope, but I'm very well read.
But I stayed at a Holiday Inn though, so
Ah,
I said no. But that's good. I mean, your story, not really story, your life and your journey is so important for everyone to hear.
Thank you.
It's very important because a lot of people in the audience are scared and they're saying like, well, how can I have a discussion with a doctor who's had 30 years in the healthcare profession? But you're showing the audience that you can.
And doctors aren't God. I mean, my stepfather would just be furious at me questioning the doctor about my mother's care and her medicine and say, you don't question those doctors. You know, you need to know your place. And I looked at him and I said, this is my place. You know, and
yeah, that's I do it all the time, and we all have to do it.
because that's what he was raised. Doctors are gods. You know, y'all ain't gods. I mean, y'all are cool, but you're not God.
Well, I mean, and docs will say that. It says the consultant, your health consultant is your clinician.
Thank you. Yeah.
And the clinician and you sit together. This is for the audience also.
That's what you're gonna do, yeah.
This is what I see. This is what my thoughts are, and let me better help you understand what your options are.
Right.
And question.
And then what are your preferences? Because that's what you're supposed to be walking away with. What are my preferences?
What are my preferences? And you know, when you're in a situation where it is a life-threatening situation, like you don't, I mean, I didn't know anything about cancer until I was right. So, but you do learn, but I think it goes back to, hold on, I may not understand what you're saying, but is this what you would give to your mom?
Mm-hmm.
I may not understand what you're doing to me or recommending, but is this what you would do for yourself if you were in this situation? So I think you can always challenge the golden rule.
You got to.
But I always want to do better.
Yeah.
So if you want to do that to your mom, but I want to do this for mine. I want to be better.
I want better. I want the best I can get.
I want the best that I can get.
Yeah,
exactly. And when you're not getting the best, you have to speak up. Do not be polite. You know, we're raised to be polite, not speak up and not use our words and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And like my mom was in a hospital and the nurse put her pills on her table tray and with her bare hand picked them up and put one in her mouth. I said, whoa, stop, time out. What are you doing? And she goes, I'm giving her medicine. I said, not with your bare hands. She said, my hands are clean. I said, yeah, your hands are clean, but not the table you just put them on because the cleaning person hasn't been here in 3 days. I said, go out, find those pills again, put on some gloves, and then come back and you can administer her medication.
My hands are clean. Okay. This
is a real story.
I just took the cap. I just took my hands and unscrewed the dirty cap.
Right.
And then went in. No. Yeah,
and she had the cup, the little cup, of the pills, and then just put them up right out there, and I'm like, oh my God,
what
you
the cup's
know?
for. That's what the cup's for. You're right. I
Exactly.
like
So, you know,
Somebody
but
say-
what if I wasn't there? I mean, this is how you can get
What if you weren't
C.
there?
diff,
If
this
you
is how
weren't
you can
there.
get all kinds of stuff. You know,
Yes.
sepsis, I mean, just, there's a lot of germs in hospitals. You don't want to be there if you don't have to be.
No, you don't want to.
Yeah.
it. But at the end of the day, you're in control. You advocate for
God.
yourself and for your family, and healthcare providers aren't perfect. And we're not trying to get the audience to get into an adversarial relationship, but
Mm-mm.
they
But if
want
you
to
see something glaring,
yeah, if you want to be confident enough,
Ask for the care.
comfortable enough to have that. And you brought up something that was very, very, very important earlier. And that is, if you don't like the care that you're getting,
Right.
you need to look for another clinician. And that's all right. You're not going to hurt their feelings.
No, and most doctors, good doctors will say, I don't mind if you get a second opinion, go
Yeah.
do it.
Right.
They have enough confidence that they're giving you the right advice, and those are doctors you're gonna have, right?
exactly, yeah.
Thank you so much. You were awesome. You're awesome, my dear friend.
You're
Mhm.
welcome.
I said, all right. So at least I have somebody who will advocate. And so if you can, when we're down there, we're going to advocate on some dancing.
There you go. Bet.
We're gonna work on getting
Help
the
it.
dance party back.
I'm gonna work on that resistance. And matter of fact, you might have to have that would be nice, Ricky, to have a video or a show.
Yeah, we're gonna
Just-
work on a video. We're gonna work on a video for Linda. We're gonna work on a video. We'll work on that.
That's great.
Righty. Thank you
Alrighty.
so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Jen, for this conversation. Thank you, Black Doctor. And we'll be here next month, first Sunday of the month. And more good information about Love Your Bones. In the meantime, love your bones.
Remember, love your bones.
Love
Take
your
care.
bones.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.